Hey traders, let's do a rundown also on the cryptos. We had a nice pop here today on the ant shares. So this is an interesting coin. Um, I'm not going to go into the story behind it, but the technicals on it, we've been nibbling down here. Guys, I'll tell you this. I started my position completely knowing that this pair, ant shares versus Bitcoin, completely overbought up here. Totally aware that I was probably chasing into the high. But here's the thing, when you learn how to work a position, you can take a trade where you have kind of poor location or bad timing. And this isn't really bad timing because I wanted to be in the position. This is a longer term position. I just want to have something in the game. And what I wanted when I entered here is I wanted this pullback. Perfectly fine with that. Most traders, and I would, most traders, and this is true on a professional level, they don't want the trade to ever go against them. And it's the complete opposite of how you want to think. You want to see your plays back up in the favor of where you want, the position that you want to establish. If I'm playing this for a long-term move, I don't want this thing to just take off or run away from me. So that's why I started the position here in case it just keeps going. I don't get the chance to establish a position until much later in time. Start small though, and then I want this thing to pull back. Most people, as soon as they put the trade on, they're so antsy. They can't stand the fact that they don't want to see it go in the red. They won't let their plays bend. Just like an athlete, you got to have the athlete bend his knees before he leaps. The fullback or running back, you watch them. They're sitting there in their stance, and then they jump back or take a step back before they go forward. Same thing. You got to give your plays room to bend. You got to give them room to breathe. And you actually want, a lot of times you want the pullback because then you can accumulate more shares at a better price. So that's some of the mental analysis I talk about. That's the psychology of trading where you need to get that. A lot of you need to flip that. You will need to learn to trade in negative territory. You need to be comfortable with your positions going against you. And when you get to that point, then you don't have a problem adding and getting heavier and more aggressive. As long as the timing's right and you do it with the trend, there's places to do that. And this trade was actually one of them. So we're looking at the daily chart. So many little things to point out. I mean, I could talk to you guys about, this is a setup in our model called a bearish engulfing pattern. This is actually bearish. So we had a lot of extension and a lot of angle and distance here. This bearish engulfing told you that, yeah, there's probably more weakness to come. Once you saw this much red, I teach my traders to draw their walls. They'll know that there's a wall here. About halfway back is where the market failed. All right, and that failure here, lower high after this high, allowed for the lower low below this. All right, I teach my guys and gals this in our full access, on our full access trading team, and we do this. We talk about these strategies and this price movement every day in the live room together. But anyway, traders know what this is too. It's swing line setup. But so this is actually very bullish now. I like this candle. I think there's more follow through here. It doesn't really matter what I think. I'm just saying that after this type of pullback, this swing line setup, the probabilities, a lot of times you're going to get more follow through now. But anyway, I established my position here, and then we've been nibbling. Okay, and then I got pretty aggressive yesterday. Not really relative to our overall portfolio, but just, I mean, I started up here. If you look, this is ant shares versus Bitcoin, but if you look at it versus dollars, I mean, I think I was long at 11 or maybe even 12. and this thing was down at $4 yesterday. So most traders, they can't sit through that type of pullback. If you enter in at all in one price your entire position up here, no way you can sit through a 50% drawdown. But when you start light and then you nibble, 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 and then you get aggressive, totally different trade. My average cost was down here, is at like $5 now versus USD. It's up at 7, so we've already had a 40% run today. So we took some profit here. I'm going to buy the next dip and keep trading this around, but that's the thinking, is that we're going back this way. Alright, that's Ant shares. Just real quick, let's do the majors. I don't know if this is the best chart, honestly. This Bitcoin versus USDT. I don't know, I guess we can use it. So I've already touched on this quite a bit, guys, and we held pi yesterday exactly in our model, pi line, and look at the weekly level. I've heard some talk about, oh, there's a head and shoulders. I mean, okay. You can find head and shoulders a lot of times in pullbacks or sideways consolidations. It doesn't mean that that's the kiss of death and that the market's going into a bear market. I don't disagree that Bitcoin's very overbought on the higher time frames, but we could just as easily consolidate here at the 8 and then make a new high. So again, it comes down to, I don't think it's helpful to just pick a pattern and say that's bearish, it's going lower because there's a head and shoulders. I don't even really see the head and shoulders that much. This is your head, this is your left shoulder, your right shoulder's here. So that means it's supposed to collapse. I mean, this is new higher highs, these are higher lows. This is still in an uptrend. All you had was a break here to lower low, and then after making a lower low relative to these lows, it's tough for the market to go from here all the way back to a new high. So yeah, you failed here, and then you had another cycle down. But we were buyers here and here. So it's just how you play it. Inverse head and shoulders, or head and shoulders, that doesn't help me with whether or not you want to buy it down here. This was a buy. And even if we trade to 1300, this is where I really want to get aggressive longer term. So it matters how you play it, guys. Your size almost matters more than whatever technical pattern you identify in the market. You got to talk to me about how you're going to trade it. Where's your risk? You can do a lot of things in the market if you know where your average cost is and where you want to add and where you're going to take profit, where how you're going to do your trailing stop, all that stuff. But I'll just say real quick what to watch for tonight, tomorrow. Whoa, it doesn't look great. Yeah, it's better. We're just watching pi here. This is our pi line, this green line. And these are areas, these aren't specific levels. All right, so we're holding on to it. See, that chart just looks different. It looks different than Bitcoin on some of the other exchanges. Let's see. Yeah, so this to me, I don't know, this is what I've been using. The volume is kind of hard to see on there. So much more accurate here. This held to the T, and then I've been watching this little double bottom, quadruple bottom, however specific you want to be. There's two tails there. So this is the level that we care about. And this level and these lows. It's kind of all the same area, 2000. So we bought more here this week. If we rally it back towards 2600, I'm just going to take some profit and keep trading around the core long-term position. If I don't get to take any off up here at the 30 on the 4-hour, then that's okay, and we drop down to here. We're gonna accumulate more down here. All right. If we take out 2000, then maybe we'll play defense and look for 1300. That's probably a good likely scenario, but there's no point in talking about that until we break this low and 2000.